April rebrand, New Year rebrand, how to rebrand your life. Now, as much as I love consuming content like this, I think the psychology behind you thinking you need a rebrand is that you feel dissatisfied with yourself and who you are as a person, right? But I think what you need to focus your energy around before you think of a rebrand is to re-love yourself. And I say re-love yourself because I think we are born with this innate love for ourselves. It has no condition upon the way we look, on the way we act, on our intelligence, on our grades, on our status, our money, whatever it is. All this materialistic stuff is the things that society and the people around us and the adults around us have imposed onto us. We learn how to unlove ourselves throughout our lives. And I think that creates such a toxic cycle for so many of us. And then it leads us to have a 2 a.m. motivation spark and the need to rebrand and redo our whole lives and change everything about ourselves and have a glow up. For what? I think every single time we get into this mindset, it's really just affirming the fact that you conditionally love yourself. It is not unconditional, because you've been taught to conditionally like yourself based on the criteria that is told about who you should be as a woman or as a person or whoever it is. It does not serve you to constantly be looking for flaws within yourselves, to constantly be looking for the next thing to change about yourself, because no matter what you do, it's not going to change the fact that you don't even like yourself. So what? What did the rebrand do? What did the style change do? Really, what's going on is that you're trying to fit yourself into this mold, which will mean, in some sense, people will like me, people will want me, I will be successful, I will be happy, right? You're searching for happiness in some sense, but the definition of happiness has been defined by the people around you and not yourself. And that's why this video is going to help you learn to love yourself. Because I think we could all do with some self-love. If you don't know me, I'm Simge. I make self-development and spiritual type content. And I just wanted to say I have 100 subscribers. So maybe it's not a lot to other people, but to me it is. And I don't know, I just wanted to say thank you for subscribing. And I hope our little family will grow and grow and grow. The first thing is forgive yourself. I think a lot of people, they'll look back at the experiences they had, the relationships they had, the situations where they feel a lot of regret and shame and guilt about, whether you intentionally or unintentionally hurt someone, or whether you felt like you didn't stand up for yourself when needed. There's going to be a lot of guilt that you're harboring and a lot of shame about who you are. And guess what that does? That instills even more hate into ourselves, which is not what we're trying to do today. What you want to do is understand, without that experience, you would not be who you are today. If that situation happened today, you would handle it way better because you're a more healed version of yourself. You have more knowledge, you have more wisdom, you have more experience, and you have a better understanding of how to communicate, how to express yourself. And I think it's so unfair to evaluate the past version of yourself based on the morals and the ethics and the standards of your current self. That is so unfair on that version of you who just didn't know any better. It's okay. You can let go of the past as long as you're taking accountability, whether it's directly or indirectly. And what I mean by accountability is just allowing yourself to learn a lesson from that experience. As long as you learnt your lesson, as long as you didn't keep repeating that mistake, as long as you're not still continuing to repeat that mistake, it's okay. It happened in the past. We can move on, okay? And I think the term rebrand is really just your own way of trying to erase yourself, erase the past version of yourself that you feel that shame and guilt for. And I don't think it's necessary. I think you're being unfair on yourself. I think you need to show yourself some love and show some grace, because I'm sure you give a lot of grace and forgiveness to a lot of the people around you, but why can't you give it to yourself? And who taught you to be like that? Who taught you to think, oh, I can give the courtesy of all my forgiveness, all my love, all my kindness to everyone around me, but to me, oh no, I don't deserve that. I don't deserve the kindness or the love or the respect. Why? The other thing to stop that desire of trying to rebrand and actually love who you are is to also evaluate your life and genuinely start to find things that you truly like about your current life, even if it's a small thing. Because when you're constantly telling yourself, oh, I need to rebrand, I need to change up my whole life, you're telling your current self you're not deserving of all of the things that I truly desire in this world. You're not deserving of the money, the success, the beauty, the love, the relationships, whatever it is that you want. You're telling yourself, current me is not deserving. I need to change into someone that I am not, someone that's so far off who I truly am as a person in order to receive the things that I truly want. And that is not being nice to yourself. If you don't see the beauty and the things that you can feel grateful for in your current environment, the universe will constantly see you hating your life. It will be like, well, you don't even like who you are right now and your life right now, so why would I add more beauty to your life when all you see is ugliness, when all you see is unhappiness, when all you see is the flaws instead of the good stuff, instead of positivity? I think once you look at life from a glass half full perspective, that is when you start to reap the rewards of that mindset. So really what you need to do is change the way that you look at life, at your life. Not at life in general, not at the people around you, but your life, your circumstances, your situation, and feel the gratitude for the small things that other people would die to have. Because I'm sure there's at least one. Whether it's something very basic like having food and water accessible to you, that's something that so many people pray for. Or it could be something like having parents in your life that are alive. Some people really want that in their life. It's just not going to serve you to constantly nitpick all the things. I don't like this about myself or my life. I want this to change. I want that to change. There's nothing wrong with wanting great things, beautiful things for yourself. I want things that don't yet exist in my life, but I am not looking at my life and thinking, I hate this. I just don't think that's going to be serving me, and I don't think that's going to make me feel happy in the long run if I constantly had that outlook. Because even when I attain those things, I'm still going to be looking for the next thing that's missing. And it's just this constant toxic cycle that you're not going to be able to get out of. I actually think mirror work would also help. So if you look in front of the mirror, and I know this is probably some advice you've probably heard before, but don't focus on anything to do with appearance. Look right at your eyes, have some eye contact with your own self, and say one thing every single morning. I love how thoughtful and kind you are. I love how smart you are. Whatever you want to say, even if it cringes you out, even if you feel like it's not even that true. The third thing is probably the complete opposite of what I've been telling you about gratitude, but identify what it is that you actually don't like about your life right now. Because most of the time you're feeling disappointed by the fact that at a certain age, whether you were 10 or 15 or whatever age you were, you had this idea of where you were meant to be at a specific point of your life. Because society as a whole conditions a lot of us to have like these milestones to hit at certain ages. And so when you evaluate whatever age you are right now, whether you're 21 or 25 or 18 or 45, however old you are, you probably feel really disappointed in the fact that you didn't achieve something that you really wanted to, whether that was money, whether that was a relationship, whether that was a career, whether that was buying property by a certain age, whatever it is that you were implementing and pressuring yourself, you feel deeply disappointed in who you are right now. Hence why your constant desperation to rebrand and reinvent who you are, because you feel shame about the version of yourself that you should have been based on the ideals of a child. And that is just not fair on you at all. It's not going to serve you, and it's not going to allow you to actually like who you are. And the more you don't like yourself, the more you're going to see things that you don't like about in your life, right? So what I would suggest is list all the things that you thought you would have achieved by now. Right next to it, list whether you actually still want that now for yourself, whether it was a career or a relationship or whatever it is. Is that still something you want, or has that changed? Because most of the time we do change as people. And if you still want that thing, write one small step you can take in order to achieve that. It doesn't have to be this major thing. In that way, you're compartmentalizing and organizing your life and viewing the small things in which you actually don't like about your life. And therefore, the uncertainty and the anxiety and the constant shame that you're feeling will start to go away, because then your mind's like, oh, I'm actually trying to solve this right now. So I don't need to stress about it. I don't need to hate myself this much. I don't need to, you know, constantly feel this way about myself if I'm clearly trying to solve my issues and whatever I'm dissatisfied or upset about or, you know, feeling ashamed about. And I think you need to also realize there's so much that we experience that isn't tangible. You've probably, since you were a kid, you've learned so much, or you've had certain experiences that taught you a lot, big moments in your life that the 10-year-old version of you would know nothing about if you asked them. But they're not tangible. You can't prove that they happened. You know that they happened. And they led you to growing and evolving as a person into the person that you are today, which I think is probably a pretty decent person, a pretty thoughtful person, a kind person, a smart person. Just because you can't prove how much you've grown as a person, it doesn't mean that that growth did not happen. And I think I kind of touched on this as well, but the next thing would probably be to change the way that you love yourself. Now, this sounds very basic, but the thing about conditional love is that you probably will have days where you actually like yourself, and then you'll have days where you absolutely hate yourself. And that is not healthy, and that is not normal, no matter how normalized it might seem to you, because it's essentially telling yourself, when you have a pimple on your face, or when you say something stupid in a conversation that you find embarrassing, or when you fail an exam that you were supposed to do well in, or whatever it is, you know, whatever the thing that really bothers you, you start to hate who you are as a whole. Your actions don't have to define who you are unless they're things that you're constantly doing, right? You can make a mistake. You can look a little rough sometimes. That shouldn't change the fact that you're worthy of love without any conditions placed upon you, even by yourself. The last thing is the overthinking. When we're overthinking, especially the overthinking will probably come when you're most alone. Your brain thinks that the more you think about something, like an issue or a problem or something that really stresses you out about yourself or about your life, that it's going to somehow be solved. But that is the most irrational mindset ever. But when you're in that headspace, you're not understanding that. You're not even aware of how irrational and absurd that actually is. The more you think about an issue, let's say, I don't know, I'm really stressed about an upcoming interview, me thinking about it constantly is not going to change it. Me prepping for it will actually have some positive impact, but you stressing about and worrying about the result is not going to help you. It's not going to serve you. It's not going to solve the issue. It only creates more stress for yourself, and it creates a very hateful and toxic relationship with yourself. Every time you get into the rut of overthinking the negative parts of your life, evaluate all the things that you can overthink that are positive and distract yourself in some sense, because then you get into this rut, and that's usually when you start to get into this urgency mode of, I need to rebrand, I need to reinvent who I am, I need to change my entire identity, my entire appearance, or whatever it is that you want to change about yourself, that you feel like you don't like about yourself, right? And if we can just stop focusing on all the very things wrong with us and our flaws, and if we could just shift to the positive parts of ourselves, you'll hopefully become a healthier version of yourself mentally that genuinely loves themselves. I hope you know that you don't need to reinvent yourself or rebrand yourself or remove the person you used to be in order to be worthy of love and happiness as a whole. And I hope that this video helped you in some way. Thank you.